right. Oh, why is that happening? There we go. Hello. There we go. Let's move this a little bit. Get right in down in here, because this is what we are doing today. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I am going to grab myself a couple snacks here, and we will be good to go. Which one do I want, Audrey? Which one do I want? I want the chips, and I want the Aero chocolate. All right. Close the door. I'm gonna close it all the way for now, right? Good girl, Audrey. Hello, everybody. I'm coming back now. I'm coming back. Hello. Hey, Autumn. Hey, Sharon. Hello, Barb. Hey, Jade. Snacks, 2 or 3 baguettes. No, I'm out of baguettes. Excuse me, no, I'm out of baguettes. I'm very sad. First place I'm going when I'm done with all of this COVID testing stuff is to the grocery store to get myself some bread. Hopefully, that will be soon. We will find out. Hey, Marshall. Hey, Axel. How you doing? Jan, you are the winning bid for the auction for mine and Molly's stone. That's exciting. Congratulations. All right. I'm trying to zoom out here a little bit. I'm out of baguettes. Isn't that terrible? Shameful. Absolutely shameful. I'm doing okay too, Axel. And the fun part is, Jan, is I can send it with the paint. I got a couple other fun little things I'm going to stick in there for you. It's going to be good. Axel, are you getting some rest? As I chew in your ears. So yeah, congratulations. All right, you guys. So I'm going to sand down the little nub on my stone, paint that black, and then we are going to jump in here. So what we are going to do is we got to look at this stone a little bit. And one thing I want to kind of preface before we jump into this today is this particular design is very, very new for me as well. So we are going to be kind of troubleshooting this one together a little bit, because I kind of think I know how I did it, but I'm guessing there are going to be some mistakes made and some repainting happening. So we will see how it goes. Raw paints and soup packages. Hello, Elizabeth. Hey, Manon. I know, love stuff is fun, eh? And I got some good stuff to send you. I got some good stuff. And Sharon, I got good stuff waiting for you. Barb, I got something in the works for you. It's all good. All right. So how's everybody doing? Is everybody ready to paint? We are going to do another stone again, and we are going to do this pattern. So I'm going to just turn on another light actually here. Oh, and Audrey is in here. Oh, no, she's good. Okay. Just watching the cats to make sure there's no cat drama today. There probably will be at some point, so you guys might hear some fun entertainment along the way. All right. So, hey Rex, how you doing, love? It's good to see you. Yes, for you, Barb. All kinds of fun stuff coming. All right, you guys, so let's jump in. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming and joining me today. And this is part 3 of painting stones, which this is kind of an accidental part because we got playing around with the design in part 1 and really kind of liked how the pattern turned out. It's just another way of taking a very similar pattern. You know, this pattern is the same. Even doing spirals is the same. It's all the same thing when you kind of put yourself into spacing and everything. So just slight modifications of a design. For example, alternating colors will create the spiral. Getting in there nice and tight so there's not a lot of space in between your dots is going to create this kind of interlocking effect. You can add detail on ones like this. So there's lots of different options that you can do with just the one pattern. And one thing that that's going to sound familiar if you've been to my lives or my tutorials before, and I will continue to say it, is that this pattern in particular is, or like the pattern that this is based off of, if you never learned another pattern, if you never learned swoops or walking dots and only did this with the ways you can change the spacing and the ways you can change up the color, the possibilities are absolutely endless. Absolutely endless. I'm glad you like it, Manon. Susan, yes, I do make my own rocks. So I use gypsum plaster and some molds, and I make my own. I am going to do a tutorial about how I make them at some point. There's lots and lots of different methods out there. If you're a member of our Facebook group, there are some really cool posts from Barb from some different ways that she created some stones. So there's lots and lots of different options there, and I do sell the blank stones on my website as well, if you don't want to make them yourself. And then I will sometimes get them from beaches, but I make sure that there's no signs up asking people not to take the rocks. So I only take rocks from ones where there's no signs up. Yep, they can go outside. They can go outside. If you make them out of plaster of Paris, that I wouldn't trust to go outside. But gypsum, or if you use cement, then those can go outside. Now, it's not just the material that you paint on, though. It's... Sorry, I got something stuck in my throat. I'm trying to power through here. It's also about how do you finish it. So you want to make sure you get a really good outdoor sealer, any kind of polyurethane or anything like that, to make it weatherproof. And if you can, try and get some UV protectant so that it'll keep the color from fading too quickly. It still will fade, but an outdoor sealer will help with that an awful lot. Hey, Paula. Oh, good, Diane. I'm glad you're looking forward to that. I think it's going to be fun too. So, I wonder if you resin plaster. I would think so. I would think that if you put resin over the plaster, then it would be good outside as well. That would be my guess. It wouldn't probably hurt to put a coat of like UV protectant varnish on before the resin, maybe, just to add some UV protectant in case the resin doesn't have that. But it would definitely weatherproof it and damage proof it for sure. All right, taking a drink here. So this is a 3-inch stone. I make ones that are 3-inch and 4-inch on Easy Mandala, Devon Dotting. There's so many different places where you can go and you can get different size stones made. Dot Art Depot has a bunch. If you're in Canada, Pisa Supply, P-I-E-S as in Sam A, on Etsy, Pisa Supply. They are phenomenal. They make a bunch of molds, and you can also buy pre-made stones from them as well. And like I said, I make the 3 and 4-inch stones. I make some heart-shaped stones that I will eventually be selling blanks of. I also make some tea light holders that I'll eventually be selling blanks of, and I actually have a new heart that heart molds that's kind of like a puffy, cute puffy heart that I'm going to start making some blanks out as well. I just need to get some more gypsum, and I don't know when that's going to happen. So just keep that in mind. Gypsum here in Canada anyway, it's not something that you can just access at your local hardware store. From what I understand, in the US you can get it at Home Depot, but I haven't dug into it, to be honest with you. But here in Canada, I have to get it from a sculpture supply store that's on the other side of Toronto for me. So it's almost a 2-hour drive in each direction for me to go and pick some of this stuff up. So I try to make it worth my while and be able to buy a couple of boxes at a time. So yeah, that's that. But Pizza Supply, if you do want to make your own stones, they have some great molds on Pizza Supply. Daisy's in here with me. Okay. And Audrey is somewhere. Yeah, she was hanging around there for a little while, but we'll see. Sorry, guys. It's cat inventory. We got to do the cat inventory. All right. Susan, my hubby got river stones for one of our gardens. I keep taking them from there. It's making him crazy. That's amazing. It's good to see you guys. Thanks for sharing it, Elizabeth. Tell them the squirrels are stealing them. Yeah, totally, right? Blame it on the squirrels. Delivery would be expensive, right? I wish I could just get a small amount to just try. Well, and maybe that's something that I could do is maybe make some smaller packets of it when I get the gypsum powder. The delivery is expensive, yeah, because it comes in 50-pound boxes. So I know the 50-pound box only costs $30, but the shipping was $30 from the other side of Toronto. So it's one of those... It's one of those things that, you know, I either want to make it worth my while and spend the $30 delivery fee and get 5 boxes, or take the drive over and spend the same amount of money, spend the $60 and get 2 boxes and drive home and have a nice drive along the way. So, you know, it's all preference there, but maybe that's something that I can do eventually when I get some more of the gypsum, is make some smaller packages of the gypsum so you could try just kind of a sample. It is one, you know what, I think that'll be a good thing for us to do a tutorial on that then, because, you know, you have to let them dry for a week before you can paint on them. You can pull them out of the molds every hour and a half, 2 hours. I usually wait about 3 hours just to be on the safe side. But it is cumbersome and you get dust everywhere and it's dirty, and you need to have somewhere to let them dry for a full 7 days before you can even paint on them, right? So it's one of those things, totally thing. The place where I get it from is called Sculpture Supply Canada. It's in Etobicoke. All right. Do I think mortar would work? I have no idea. I'm honestly not sure at all. I apologize. I have no clue. So whether you're painting on regular, like natural stone today, on a small canvas or whatever, that's totally okay. Now, what I thought that we would do is, I'm going to take the same design, but we're going to do it starting in the center today. Cam done too much work just listening. There you go. We will do a tutorial on making stones and stuff though, for sure. So I'm going to take this design and we're going to start it in the very, very center. Okay. And I'm going to choose, this one has 4 colors in it. So I'm just trying to think if we should do, how many colors we should do. I think 4 is still pretty good because it gives a pretty cool trippy effect on there. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to choose a pink. So let's do 4 colors. I'm going to do a pink, a blue, a purple, and a teal. Do I want to do a teal? Do I want to do the white? Maybe I just want to do those 3 in a white. What do I want to do? Let's do the white. Okay, I'm just going to get another little pot and I'll pour some white in it and we will be good to go. All right, so choose 4 colors. It's nice if they're fairly contrasting because you want to be able to see this design. Now, one thing that's really important to know about this design is it is tiny, right? I started off super, super, super tiny. Can you see? Right? That's where I started out. So look at how many rows. Look at this, is the size of my fingernail. Ew, that's gross. Let's use a pencil instead. So this is a bunch of rows, right? So this is going to be a little tedious in the first few rows because it's not going to develop as quickly as everyone else, okay? As the other ones, you know, we're going to, this right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. To this blue, this is the 8th row, right? So let me put this down and then zoom out and show you how far. See how far from the center that is? That's 8 rows there. So it's going to take a little bit of time. All right, I definitely will do the white. Hi, Geraldine. Right? Yeah, she could totally do this design on nails if she wanted to. Our friend Ish is an incredible nail artist. So if you are on Instagram, check out Ish Nails. She's in Edmonton, I believe. So yeah, check her out. All right, so we're going to pick a center dot color, and then we're going to get started on this. So there's a couple different things you can do for guidelines. I honestly just kind of find the center, and what I want to do is the only reason, and this is part of the tutorial that's carrying on from the last couple of weeks, is not using a ton of guidelines at this particular point, right? So I want to find my center, and I'm going to draw my 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and 9 o'clock lines. And then I'm going to grab my trusty tape measure. I use a sewing tape measure that's nice and flexible to draw these lines across. Oh, I need Ish nails. No, I know. I totally do. She told me that she ordered in some short ones for me because I can't use the long ones. So I'm excited. All right, so I'm going to use my tape measure, and I'm going to just draw my intersecting lines. So if you came to the other tutorials in this particular series, the thing that we're going to do here is this is all about spacing. So we don't need to draw any other guidelines on because we're just doing circle after circle after circle with spacing. And I'm going to go through how we do that spacing together here too. Okay, so we are going to start in the very center. And I'm going to start with the bright blue. I am winging it. I am going to tell you everything that I'm doing as I'm doing it. This is all about spacing, okay? All about spacing. I'm going to copy this stone. I'm going to zoom out a little bit again. I'm going to copy this stone by looking at what size I did for a center dot, probably about a 16. So we're going to start with that on this one. Now, the reason I'm not using any other guidelines is because I want to do my own spacing. And again, I'm going to show you that trick that I use to do my spacing without any guidelines to make it match up and keep the spacing nice and even all the way around. And it's going to lay your base down for you for the whole piece. It's really the first couple of rows that really make the whole difference. So I put my line down. I use watercolor pencil crayon. I used to use charcoal pencil crayon, but they left a fairly thick waxy finish. So the watercolor pencil crayon works really well, and then I just slightly erase it so that there's not much there. If I didn't erase it and I put a dot over that line, the dot would actually be pinched in where it intersects with the line. So let me make sure I've got some decent lighting here. Can you guys see okay? Are we doing all right for lighting? I think I'm gonna put it down right about there, and let's see if that might be a little bit better. We'll see. We'll see how we do here. That might just be the stone. Okay, so I am starting with a size 16 of the DIY Mandala stones. You guys, I got a couple of sets of these in the mail from Kim, the owner of DIY Mandala stones, and I'm going to be doing a giveaway with these really soon. Look how nice and big those numbers are compared to her old sets. You can see the size difference. There's a number 20 in that one and a number 16 in the one below. So you can really see the difference in the size of the numbers on these. So I'm going to be doing a giveaway, so keep your eyes peeled for that. It's going to be probably about a week away, but I'm going to do a giveaway for a set of her new tools. All right, so I'm starting with a 16, and I use this cross line to figure out that I'm basically in the center, and to help me center my dot. Sometimes this is a 2 or 3 part process. Sometimes you put down a dot and then it doesn't work out the way you wanted it to, and you got to start over again. That's okay. Like this one, that didn't work. I screwed with it too much. I kept pushing down on it. So I'm going to wipe it off, and I'm going to have to go in and paint it black again. So we're going to have to just chat for a minute again. I know it sucks, but it happens. So let's talk about that a little bit. This is not something that's going to be perfection, okay? You are going to make mistakes. You are going to make mistakes a lot, and it's okay. Hey, Cindy. Okay, so I'm just going to put this down, and I'm going to grab actually my heat gun and see if I can, because I used way too much paint here. Holy cow. The one thing that's good to know about me is that I will never profess to tell you the easy way or the smartest way to do things. I'll tell you the way that I do them, even if they might seem cumbersome, but hopefully it inspires you to different ideas on how you can kind of do things. But I tend to like to make my life a little more difficult than it needs to be. That seems to be a habit of mine. So just know that that's going to be something you're going to see. Okay, I'm going to turn on some noise here for a second, and then let's see if I can get this to dry. So noise. This is just an embossing gun, a heat gun. Just use that to dry this baby down. You can get these for, I think, 20 or 30 bucks at Michael's. So with a coupon, it'd be significantly cheaper. This is what it looks like. It's like a little hair dryer. You could use a hair dryer. All of that sort of stuff would work. Yes, it is a sponge under the stone. So at Dollar Tree and a couple other dollar stores, you can get these cool round sponges. And that's what I put mine on. You can also buy round, small Lazy Susans. So take a look at Jessie D Designs, Dot Art Depot, I think Happy Dotting Company maybe too. There's a bunch of different places where you can get small Lazy Susans. But I like the sponge. This is a 3-inch stone, Cindy. I'm gonna crunch in your ear again, guys. I'm gonna eat some more chips. And I'm going to redo these lines. The stencil here that I'm using, you can get this from Happy Dotting Company. And that's on Etsy. I think I might be using the one that's too big. That might be why it's puckering a little bit. You're most welcome, Cindy. And then I use a fabric flexible tape measure because then it bends with the stone. And then we go back over the center again. Dun, dun, dun. And there we go. So back in we go. Yeah, oh, thank you, Paula. Yeah, I forgot she's on Amazon now too. I need to reach out to a couple of these people and find out, where do they make more money? Do they make more money when people purchase off of their Etsy or off of their Amazon? And make sure that that's where I send people if I'm going to recommend it. Might as well have more of that money going to the actual creator, right? All right, going over it very lightly with an eraser to make sure my dots don't pucker. And there we go. I'm not worried about making a perfect background color on this. It can be a little streaky. It's not that big of a deal because this design fits together so tightly. We're really not seeing a lot of that background color. You could play with the background color too, though. Can you imagine doing one that's like bright yellow and doing like pinks and greens and purples and blues on it? That would look really pretty too. I don't usually do a white background because I find it's very difficult to cover up mistakes. But when you're covering up so much of the background with your actual design, then it's really not that critical. So even doing like a black and gray, like taking 4 colors of black and gray in these colors, there's so many cool things. There are so many cool ways that we could do this design. So so get a little creative with it. This is one where you don't have to stick with a black base coat. Do you want me to put her info on the Facebook page? Oh, that would be wonderful, Sharon, if you don't mind. All right, let's try the center dot again. I think I'm actually going to go with one size larger. I'm going to go with a 17. Just because the 16, I was kind of messing with it too much. So I'm going to go up one more. Now, I'm leaning straight over top so I can see kind of 90 degrees down. And I not only want to make sure that this tool is being divided by this line, but I want to know that it's about the same on that line as well. So that's how I kind of center it. One thing you could do, and one thing I used to do a lot, was I actually got a big stencil from Michael's that had a whole bunch of different circles on it. And it was like an 8.5 by 11, like it's still not completely centered. That's okay. We're gonna add a little bit more paint. And there we go. All right, we're good. We're good enough. So this stencil that I had, I don't know where it is now. I mean, it couldn't have gotten up and walked away, and I know I've had it since I moved out to the farm, but I, for the life of me, can't find it. I think it's hiding with my credit card somewhere because my credit card is on hiatus as well. So anyways, but this cool stencil, because it actually has little notches on all of their circles on the stencil. So you could line it up with these two guidelines and you could actually draw a nice small circle and then just put the dot in the middle. That's what I did for quite a while. And it took away a lot of headaches when it comes to getting everything really super centered. Hey, Brianna, how you doing, love? It's good to see ya. All right. So what order do I want to do these in? So I've got pink, teal, and blue. So pink, teal, blue, and white. So I think I'm going to kind of go with the same idea. I always kind of put my paints in order that I want to use them. And I think I want to do them in that order. I think I want teal, then pink, then white, then blue. Yeah, okay. So this is going to feel very different compared to other tutorials that we have done because we are going to leave a lot of space, okay? Because what we want to have happen here is we want, let me move this and let me get a zoom in because then it'll save. We are going in right now to put these tiny teal dots on. Now, the other option is that you could go in and lay in these green ones first. You could go in with color number 2 and then fill that in a little bit too. So actually, why don't we do that? Let's go in with color number 2 and then we'll go in and backfill those little teeny, teeny, tiny dots. So I'm going to start with, I'm going to use my nail dotting stylus tool for the first row. You could also use your number 1. But this is, again, it's going to be trial and error to see how we do with our spacing, right? So I'm going to go in with my nail dotting stylus tool that is a point. This bad boy here. Should be pretty similar to a size 1. If you are doing everything with your DIY mandala stones, a tiny toothpick or a really sharpened pencil will give you the same effect as this micro dotter as well. If you want to purchase one of these, take a look at the Facebook page because there's links in there on where you can buy this on Amazon. It's a clay sculpture tool. So we're going to leave a lot of space. So I'm going to keep looking at this other one that I created, and we're just, again, we're going to kind of wing it a little bit. I'm not going to go right up against the stone. Actually, I could. All right, let's do right up against the stone. All right, this might actually be changing a little bit as we go. Okay, so I dot at 12 o'clock, then I spin it around. I dot at 12 o'clock again. Fairly tiny dot. Spin it around, dot at 12 o'clock again. You don't have to go with the guidelines. If you find that your dot is not perfectly centered on those guidelines, don't force yourself to do these dots on those guidelines. You see how I'm going just a little bit to the left of it? That's totally okay. All right. Please remind me what the center dot size is. It is a size 17. I tried the 16. It was a little bit too small, so I went with the 17 just to be safe. So I'm going to keep going and dividing in half, spinning it and dotting at 12 o'clock. Then we go here. So we need to leave a lot of space between these dots. And I think I screwed this up by going to the pink, but that's okay. So now we're just going to do one more size. And see how big that space is in between? It's got lots and lots and lots of room. Okay. That's okay. So see how much space there is though? And we want to keep lots of space in there. And you'll see why when we do the next row. Okay, so don't worry about how much space you've got in there. Sorry. Okay, we doing okay so far? Okay, so now I'm going to go in with my size 1. And I'm going to go in with my next color, which I am going to do white. I'm actually going to use a white pearl. So I'm going in with my 1, and this dot is going to be hopefully slightly bigger than the one before, but we're putting it right down in that space. So see how it's almost even with it, but it's bigger? So it's kind of nested in there. This is going to set the stage for all of that other nesting in that we're going to do. So it's just that little bit bigger. See how that looks? So instead of leaving a bunch of space between the white and the blue, because normally we would do these dots out around here, right? So instead we're pushing them in nice and close. And I know I have to clean that up now. But I wanted to give you that example. This is the other thing to remember. If you're new to this, everything is pretty darn close to everything anyway is fixable. Okay, you get yourself a nice tiny little paintbrush and some black paint, and you can go right back over top of that, and it'll be dry in no time, and we'll be right on track. Okay. So we're pushing that spacing all the way in. The pink dots are my nail dotting stylus tool. It would be the equivalent of a sharp pencil or a toothpick, a really sharp toothpick, so it's smaller than the size 1. Or just put very little paint on your size 1. Oops. Put very little paint on your size 1. Oops, that's because I was going in with the wrong tool. I went back to my nail dotting stylus tool. I was supposed to be doing my size 1. So if you put very little paint on your size 1, you could create a small dot like the pink ones. See how I'm very little paint, and you could create that size. Okay, so the less paint you use, the tinier your dots are going to be. So you could use that to, like I said, to get those tiny, tiny ones. Let me paint over that real quick. Oops, sorry guys. There we go. All right, back to my size 1, and we're jumping right back in. So this is the foundation for that nesting that we want to kind of create. Okay, oh, and that one's dry now, which is good. Okay, see how we're doing here? Okay, so now, in theory, I should be able to go up to my number 3 color, which is going to be for me is my teal. Color number 3. I'm going to give it a quick little stir here because there's a couple dog hairs stuck in my paint. All right, here we go. Okay, so we've got our teal. And so now I'm going in with my number 2. Okay, and this is trial and error for me too. Remember that. So 2 might not work, but we're looking for the same kind of effect. We're looking for this to be just a little bit bigger. It's almost too big. And I'll show you why I say that. Because if I go here, see how that space in there is not anywhere near small enough to me to get another slightly larger dot in there. So I'm going to actually get rid of this and I'm going to go back in with my number 1. Okay, and I'll show you again why. Because you want to have enough space between those dots so that you can fit in the next dot that's going to be slightly larger than the one you just laid down, right? So this is where the eye for spacing is really going to come into play here, you guys, and this is where the practice is. Sorry, all of my coating on a paintbrush is peeling off, and I gotta get it off because it's gonna slice me if I don't. Bear with me one second. I left a paintbrush sitting in the water for too long, and it kind of expanded a little bit. All right, so let me go back in with the black. Does that make sense, you guys? So we want the space to be large enough, like you can see between the white dots, that I could fit a slightly larger dot in there. So because the 2 was too large, my option is to go and do the size 1 again, but put on a little bit more paint. Right? So remember that changing the amount of paint on your tool is going to impact the size of your dots. Right? So because the 2 was too big, I'm going to go back in with the size 1. Okay, see, I have a paintbrush that's in that exact same thing. Little chips of the outer paint. Oh, yeah, totally, right? It's good to see you, Christy. I didn't know you were here. All right, I'm going to eat another chip. Okay, so I'm going to go back in with the number 1, but I'm going to put a little bit more paint on it. Right, so what I'm doing is I'm actually just kind of, see how much paint I have on there? Okay. So this is trial and error though, remember. So I'm going to just about there. Okay, just very, 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 very slightly larger. As we get going and the rows increase, then there's much more of a pattern to this to say, you know, go up a size in your tool as you get going. But these first couple of rows, you really want to be careful. I left the family at park to dash home to join you. I'll go pick up the word. That's amazing. Oh, that's awesome. So quiet house and some painting time, Christy. Oh my God. Christy has a very busy household. Like so many of us. There we go. So we making sense, you guys? Everybody doing okay? Anybody have any questions? Love the turquoise. Yeah, it's pretty, isn't it? There are some of those colors that you paint with and you just kind of drool over. There are some that I haven't even used yet because I'm waiting for the perfect idea to come to me for them. Is this making sense though, you guys? I hope this is making sense anyway. So just slightly larger. so that we've got space between these teal ones now to put our next row of blue. Okay, and I'm going to try the number 2 again. Makes sense. Oh, thanks, Christy. Like the COVID blue. Oh, I know, right? So you're going to drool again. It's this one. Isn't it beautiful? Like it's one of those ones that I panic buy it. Like I make sure that I always have 2 to 3 bottles of it at home just in case, because with my luck, someday they'll discontinue it and I'll be devastated. So I want to make sure I've got a super good supply for it. This is Peacock Blue, you guys. I get it at Dollarama. It's a deco art, craft acrylic paint. It is just my absolute favorite. My absolute favorite. All right, so I just wanted to give my blue a stir here. Yeah, Jan calls it COVID blue instead of peacock blue. All right. Any other questions? Are we still good to go? So I'm going to try the number 2 again. I do not know if the 2 is going to work, but it should. Now I'm not going to put a ton of paint on it though. So remember before I was kind of stirring in there, right? So this is all the blue I have on here now. Okay. So we're going to go here. So see how it's slightly larger? I apologize because I know this color doesn't show up great with glare. But it looks like now the good base is there. I love Canadian Talk Dollarama, right? Oh my gosh. Oh, and Elizabeth, Dollarama. It's on the East Coast. There's a store called the Great Canadian Dollar Store. And whoo, it blows Dollarama out of the water. And I've only recently discovered a love for Dollar Tree. If you're in Ontario and you're near Lindsay, Ontario, there is a phenomenal dollar store up in Lindsay called Your Dollar Store with More. That's where I first got all of my mugs that I was painting all the time. And it's where I got my teapots, and they have all kinds of cool art supplies there. Similar stuff to Dollar Tree. But, oops, that one was way too big. That's okay. We'll fix it. Like I got round canvas panels for like $3.50. But you know what I had this moment the other day. I went to the bulk barn and they had all of the cardboard cake plates. You can get one that's like 18 to 20 inches in diameter for like $1.25. And you could totally paint that. All right, so I'm going to pull this one off. What I'm using right now is it's a nail dotting stylus tool that I've had for a long time. You can get them on Amazon as well. They have the tools on the end with the metal balls, but then it has these silicone tip ends on each end. So you only get 5 different size dotting tools, but they have these silicone brushes, for lack of a better term. These are great for pulling paint off. I also really like them for stirring paint as well. Oops. I thought that was the wrong jar. That was the one that didn't have any water. Sorry, it was so loud. It scared me. Anyways, I don't even know what I was saying anymore. Doesn't even matter. So we'll go in and fix this issue and then we'll come back to it. We'll see if it comes back to me or not. That startled me more than I could have predicted. All right, so I'm going in with a teeny tiny bit here. Oh, the nail dotting stylus tools. So you can get them on Amazon. They were actually clay sculpture tools. I used to do polymer clay. I used to work with polymer clay a lot. And they were tools that I actually had left over and had never gotten rid of them. Oh, and the Lindsay Dollar Store. Thanks, Kim. So yeah, it's called Your Dollar Store with More, and they've got all kinds of super cool stuff up there. So if you're near Lindsay, Ontario, I highly recommend you take a peek. Christy, I picked out a Folk Art Color Shift Aqua Flash. Nice. as one of my colors for this piece, and I'm loving it. You also inspired me to grab a couple bottles of the Peacock Blue. Yay! Good. I'm glad. Have you seen the online photos of our box stores? The aisles are blocked off except for food and pharmacy. Yeah, I was at Walmart the other day, and it was all tied off. At the dollar store was all tied off. Everywhere you could only go down certain sections. It's crazy. Can you tell me the name of the turquoise and the pink? I cannot. They are pre-mixed ones that I have in the pot here. I don't know what bottle they came out of. I think they're custom colors that I made. I apologize. I know the pink would be a mixture of some neon pink and just a bright pink, but unfortunately they're custom colors that I mixed up. Sorry, Geraldine. There's also a dollar store with more at the Golden Mile Center and Park Avenue. Oh, is there really? Ooh, yeah, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Oh, that's awesome, Christy. I'm glad you've got one so close. I didn't know there was another one down there. I'm sorry. My guess is that it is, where is my other pink? Oh, is it this one? No. I'm guessing it is a bright pink mixed with, where's the other pink? I had another pink out. Even if I had to guess, I know it's neon pink and kind of a darker, dustier pink that's all mixed in there. But we'll get that. All right, so let me go back in here and let's finish these blue dots. There we go, that's better. This is the reason my dots got quite a bit larger was because I hadn't cleaned off my tool very much. This is where it's real important to remember that if your dots start changing size or shape or anything like that, check and see when was the last time you wiped your tools off. Robert did a shift that started at 2 p.m. until 8 a.m. the next day to block off all those things. Oh, what a long shift, and what a crappy thing to have to do. Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Like, let's just be done with it already, right? All right, so now we're going back in with our pink. So I'm going to use a size 2 again, only this time I'm going to put a little bit more paint on it and see how that works with this one. Okay, so a little bit more paint still on the number 2. I think that'll work out really well. And then the next row, we should be able to go up to a number 3. This is all trial and error, and it all has to do with playing with the amount of paint on your tools. That's why I say, too, with this particular pattern, this is a great pattern to get to know your tools and to get to know your paints, right? If I was using a super thick paint, you know, that's going to impact what size tool I'm going to use next, right? And especially if you're using multiple colors, you're likely going to have paints with multiple consistencies. So you got to be able to play with it. And again, don't panic if you go to put something in there. It's all about knowing about what is it that I'm looking for? What is the spacing that I'm looking for? How is the design going to start to come out? What kind of spacing do I want to see here? And if you are not seeing what you wanted to see, then be kind to yourself, wipe out some paint, and start over. I tell this story a lot. I had a point where I was working with Funky Upbeat Designs. They are a couple of artists in Markham, Ontario that upcycle old drums and guitars and stuff into beautiful furniture and wall art. And I got to paint a guitar through them, and I wiped out almost a quarter of the design because I smudged my arm through all of the paint. Like, seriously, a whole quarter of the face of a large acoustic guitar was gone. I was covered from wrist to elbow in paint. I cried. I swore. I walked away from it for a good 3-4 hours. Then I went in and I just started pulling paint off and painting over it. And then I walked away from it again for a little while and then kept going back little bits at a time. I'm doing probably 2 or 3 dots in between wipes, Geraldine. Really good question. Yeah, about 2 or 3. All right, so now I'm going to go up to a number 3. And I am going to clean these because, of course, I am completely greedy and kept one of these new sets of tools for myself. Brianna, yeah, super frustrating for the essential workers that have to keep doing this all because people can't follow rules. It's really, really frustrating. It's really, really frustrating. It's too much. It's too much. It was devastating, Elizabeth. And all of this that's happening is devastating. It's too much. It's too much to ask people to carry around this kind of stuff for so long. All right. The best thing I find with your tutorials is that I learned to choose my own tools. In the past, when I followed tutorials and used the tool size they use, and it never turned out the same, I never knew why until your tutorial. Oh, Jan, that's what a wonderful compliment. That makes me so happy. That's what I want, right? That's what I want from doing these tutorials, is for you guys to know what it is that you're looking for, what is the effect you're trying to create, what kind of spacing you want to see, and then being able to use your instincts and adjust your tools and adjust your paints accordingly to still get what you want out of there. I'm so, so, so glad that, thank you. That's huge. I'm eating regular Ruffles chips. They are one of my favorites because they are ultra salty. And I do like my salt. All right, so here we go, guys. We're doing pretty good so far. Is everybody doing okay? This one has actually moved along a little bit faster than this one did. I must have started substantially smaller in there. So this is good. This is still moving on. Or is everybody doing okay? Janice, how you doing? Good to see you, love. All right. I love the way you teach us the trial and error. You make a mistake and show us how to correct it. Wiping off and sizing. Well, and that's the thing. Like, I can't give you some magic sauce that is going to work every single time because it doesn't work for me every single time, right? And we're all different. We dip the tool into the paint differently. We breathe differently. We move differently. So we're not going to be able to create the exact same thing. So I want to be able to make sure that you guys know what it is you're looking for so that you can create, whether you've got somebody helping you along the way or not. All right, so I'm going in with a 3, and I'm going to try 2. I think that still looks good. Yep, I'll still be able to get another good one in there with a little bit more paint. That one might be a little bit large, so I think I'm actually going to remove that one. See how it's just that little bit bigger? I might actually remove both of them and go in just a tiny bit smaller. So when I'm going to go in smaller, I'm not going to change my tool. I am going to change the amount of paint on my tool. I'm going to not dip my tool into the paint quite so far. It's not going to show if I show you on camera, but I'll try because the tool is white and the paint is white, right? But I will try. Is Jan trying to get the front of the giveaway line? Stop sucking up, you guys. Yeah, I get bribes all over the place. And I love you too. You two girls need to time out, right? Somebody needs to. That's why I needed Mins here on the lives, is to keep everybody under control. You guys are rowdy. I freaking love it. I love you guys so much. Let's see. Chips? Yes, chips. Chips, and more chips. I always like when they have Ruffles on sale because they're usually so much more expensive. But they were on for $2.99 instead of the normal $3.99 that I usually find them at. So I grabbed myself some regular ones and I grabbed myself some barbecue. So I'll have a little spice a little later. And I have my new thing at Dollarama that I've fallen in love with is being able to get one of these little bags of arrows, little arrow minis. Like, look at these things. They're fabulous. For $2. Love Dollarama. It's fantastic. All kinds of treats. Yes, I am practicing the 3D effects from Barb. I'm not watching the remarks too much today because I have a headache. And I don't want Sharon's stapler to hit me again. You're amazing. I hope your head feels better soon. Used to be all about the Ruffles chips, and then I tasted the Lay's Wavy. I find the Lay's Wavy are a crapshoot on how salty they're going to be, though. But I do agree, the chips themselves are much better, and they're not quite as greasy and heavy. I agree. Hi, Tammy. It's so good to see you. I'm glad you're here. All right, let's keep going. So I'm going to... So here's the paint, but I'm not going to put hardly any paint on it, right? I'm going to just barely dip the tip of the tool into the paint because I don't want to go quite as big as I did the last time. Okay. So a little less paint. Then I'm going to wipe the tool off again. Just barely getting the tip of paint in there. Tip of the tool into the paint, I mean. Okay. Oh, that one's a little bit big, but that's okay. We'll deal with it. This is, again, where the muscle memory comes into play too, right? Because you're going to get used to dipping your tools just a little bit or a certain distance, and that's going to be your muscle memory. That's going to change when you go from a small paint pot into a bigger paint pot. It's going to be different when you're using a palette, but that muscle memory is going to impact everything. So you want to slow yourself down and try not to be going too fast, so you can develop that muscle memory. I know. Yeah, as soon as I said it, Christy, I knew that was a problem. Right, Brianna? Like, who knows? Who knows what I was even trying to say? Lay's barbecue. Oh. I always liked, on the East Coast, you can't get them here in Ontario. At least I've never found them, but Lay's salt and pepper, sea salt and cracked pepper chips. Oh my God. They're the best thing ever. I'm really close to reaching out to my friends in New Brunswick and asking them to send me a care package. Hey, Manon, I'm glad you're back. Now I need to eat something, right? Sorry, guys. I think it came in a little too hard with my number 1 tool. It's pointing at 11 now. Yeah, that happens. You had to grab some cookies, Jan. That's awesome. You're welcome. I'm here to enable all of you. All right, let's keep going. It's too full on the paint. I have to make sure that when I pause and I'm quiet for a second, I don't start singing in your ear. So I'm really trying to be careful here not to put down too much paint because I didn't wipe my tool off enough that time. So it seems like for this particular paint, wiping it, or this particular row of dots, wiping the tool off every 2 dots is the way to go. One of the biggest things that was a big part of my learning curve when I first started, and it still is that speed is everything. As soon as you start going too fast, you are much more likely to make more mistakes and to see inconsistencies in your dots. So as slow as you think you're going, if you are not getting the consistency, slow down even more. Okay? That speed is going to make a huge difference for you. So I'm going back in with the 3 again. I did the 3 for those white dots. We're going to do the 3 again. I'm just going to clean off my tool. And then we are going to go back in with the 3, only with a little bit more paint on it this time to get that next row in there. Walmart has those specialty flavors for a lot less. Yeah, and that sea salt and pepper, I can't find it anywhere here. Anywhere. I look everywhere. Is Catherine here? That's cool. Putting Keebler to business. Kathy Howarth is here too. Oh my goodness. So Christy and Kathy and Catherine and I go play trivia at a really cool pub in Toronto called Hemingway's. And we always did the best. My favorite was still the music trivia. We would do like name that tune. They had 4 rounds of trivia where it was name the song, name the artist, and then 2 rounds of complete the lyrics. And oh my gosh, we had so much fun. Just sit at your table and start singing like crazy. It was so fun. Can't wait to be able to do that again. Good times, good times. All right, how's everybody doing? So I'm slightly larger. I can probably see the nice spacing in there, so I know that I'm going to be able to go up to a 4 on the next one. Jamie, do I PayPal for the auction? Yes. I'll shoot you the link for that, my dear, if you want. Fast or slow, I never get precise dots. Really? Your work always looks so completely precise, Barb. The rhythm helps too, right? Once you can get into a rhythm, that can help a lot too. But regardless, as long as you're having fun with it, that's the number one. That is the number one. Okay, so I'm going to go up now to a size 4 tool, and we're going back to the blue. Oh, you've got it? Okay, awesome. Cool. Thanks, Jan. I'm going to make sure that Molly gets her $25 because what we were doing was with the $50 starting bid plus shipping. It was going to, I'm just going to put all of that. I'm going to make sure Molly gets her 25 and that she gets her money back for the shipping to me because she sent the stone to me. And then I'll get it off to you, Jan, and I'm just going to donate the rest of it. I can't paint and entertain you guys at the same time. I will replay on Patreon and get another 2 hours of quiet dogs. Yes, apparently I am a sedative for Barb's dogs. She had me yell at one of her dogs last night on the TikTok live, and Lulu listened, didn't she? Said she spun around. All right, that one is way too big. So here's another way to know, right? Just by looking at this, I don't even need to lay in the other dot because look at how far this dot comes in comparison to here. So this one gets kind of sliced right about here, right? Whereas all of the other dots are much closer to a 50-50, right? Does that make sense? So when you place the dot, if it goes that much farther past the row previous, that's not enough space for another dot in between. So here we go again. Getting at the black paint. That's cool. That was so cool, Barb. Okay, thanks, Jan. I'll keep you posted because I'll get your package together for you. And we should have a few bucks to donate. So just so everybody knows, I did a couple of joint lives with Mall Rocks on Instagram, and we painted a couple of stones and we auctioned them off, and we're donating the money from that auction to I can't remember the name of the charity. I apologize right off the top of my head, but it is basically to help fund and support missing and murdered Indigenous women in Canada and help that issue. It sounds so cold to say it that way. And I don't mean it to. There we go. That's better. So I'm using a size 3. Again. I'll go up to a 4 the next time. And Jan was the winner of the auction. So as you start to see this pattern grow, you're going to see a couple of different things start to come into play, right? Like the white and blue are making a stripe that is going out from the center, like a ray from the sun. So imagine doing something like that, right? You have 4 colors. You've got like a red and a burgundy and an orange and a yellow. And you could have those colors alternating coming all the way out from the center, right? There's so many different options that you could play with this. You could have use 3 colors right? I could go blue, teal, blue, white, blue, teal, blue, white, and I could change it up that way if I wanted to. There's all kinds of different options that you can do with this, which is really cool. That's okay, Tammy. So, yeah, I did a joint live on Instagram with Malrocks. She's another dot artist. And then the stones that we created, we auctioned them off. It'll be something you'll see again. We'll be doing it again. I wanted to mention Jessica at Above Ground has helped me so much trying to get the shipping correct to send to Saskatoon. Oh, good. I'm so glad. Oh, that's awesome, Autumn. Oh, you're most welcome. You're most welcome. I'm glad that that worked out. So glad that worked out. There we go. So you're starting to see the spacing coming in here. So you can kind of see the background. So again, you could imagine doing, like the sun on the black background, the sunny colors, or doing these same colors, but on a bright yellow background, because you'd see some of it poke through and that would change the look entirely, right? How many black layers are you up to? The record held by me is 10. I don't even count. I don't want to risk that. Nobody needs to know. Your comments about 50% out from the previous day, that just made a world of difference. From the previous row? Good. I'm glad that that helped. Really glad that that helped. All right, back to pink. So this time I'm going to go up to a number 4. Hi, Pathy. How are you in Belgium? Hello. I'm in Canada too. We got some people in the United States here. Manon was here. I don't know if she's still here. She's in the Netherlands. So I'm going in with a 4. Still looking at about that 50%. Right? Slicing the dot in half. Okay, good. All right. So this is where you're getting that kind of cool tiled effect, right? It almost looks interlocking. But this is why I also didn't lay down a bunch of guidelines, right? Really wouldn't have benefited here. Sometimes it can help you keep your lines straight, and if they make you feel better, then definitely put them in there, but they're definitely not necessary. Oh, yay, Manon's still here. Good. And that's without autocorrect. Apathy from USA. All right, here we go. How's everybody doing? We doing all right? So then think about all the different colors that you can do with a design like this. Think about, compared to the other stone that I did, just putting your center dot off center, right? Not putting it right in the very middle of the stone. That can make a difference. We'll look at that again. We'll compare the two. Changing the size of your center dot can make a difference in how the pattern is going to look. Size, location, all of that stuff makes a difference, right? All right, time for another chip while I open up my next paint color, which is white. All these wonderful people listening to the recording. Thank you for being patient and still listening to the recording, even though I'm eating in your ear. And to all of you that are on this as well for being so patient with me while I do that. I feel like we're just hanging out anyway, right? It's kind of nice. Any questions? Are we doing all right? So I'm going back in with another number 4 again. I'm hoping to put a lot more paint on the number 4 and still be able to use it for a row. And I think that's going to work out well. So if I had guidelines on here, then one of these rows, either the white and blue or the teal and pink, would line up on those rows, and you could build your piece around that. So if that is something that's helpful for you, don't hesitate to use guidelines. Sometimes even, I used to put guidelines on everything, and then even if I didn't use them, it kind of taught me, where do I like to use guidelines? How can I use them to my advantage? Are they to my advantage? Do I want to use them? What am I doing? How am I doing things differently so that I'm not meeting the guidelines, right? Like if I'm painting away and I'm not, excuse me, I'm not matching up with the guidelines somehow, then what is it that I'm doing? It taught me a lot to kind of say, okay, well, maybe my spacing is a little bit off. Maybe there's something I can practice there that could help with that kind of thing, right? So putting the guidelines down, there's nothing wrong with it. You can learn an awful lot about your own painting style by putting those guidelines down and seeing how well you adhere to them and if you find them useful at all, so that you kind of know going forward that, hey, maybe on this particular type of project, I don't want guidelines. I'm just going to jump into painting. And you'll start to kind of figure out what your preferences are for that sort of thing. Could be worse. It could be your friend sneezes. I'm sorry, Jen, I'm not understanding. On another page, someone said they made cones from bag chips. Yes. I'm on my 10th bag joking, but a good excuse. I think that's brilliant. Sorry, I have to eat all the chips. I need more paint cones. What do you want me to do? Just not paint? I need the paint cones. I think that's fantastic. All right, going up to a number 5. We're going to try a number 5 because I feel like there's a good amount of space there. Fred. Yes, it could be my friend sneezes. Oh, he's a snotty donkey too. He's always got boogers. All right, that worked out well. So the 5 worked out good here. Everybody doing okay? So with all these different designs that you can do, and all these different patterns, playing with different colors, like doing a bunch of black and white ones would be really cool. Like imagine doing 2 rows of black and 2 rows of white on like a red background or a hot pink background or something. That could be really, really cool. So keep playing with it. This is all of these ones, if you were to only watch the tutorials from this week and the 2 previous, you would have tons and tons and tons of possibility of what you could create from that simply by going through those basic alterations and modifications of the same design and switching up your color, right? These are great ones to practice. I say this all the time. I will continue to say it. Great pattern to practice to develop your muscle memory, get to know your paints, get to know your tools, and practice your spacing. So I'm going back in with a 5 again. Actually, this time I think I'm going to go in with a 6. I just want to see what happens here. Might be too big. Yeah, that was going to be too big. No, that actually looks all right. Yep, I can still fit that one in there. Okay. So I'm not going to use a huge amount of paint on this tool, but I am on a number 6 now. Nope, that was too big. Nope, that was a mistake. Okay. See how the spacing over here got way smaller? That one was okay, so now I'm going to go back in. I'm just going to get rid of this one. And actually, I'm going to get rid of these ones too. Oh, crappy camera angle, Jamie. Come on. And go back in with a 5 and just put a little bit more paint on. Get really comfortable with making mistakes and trying stuff over and over again. All of the trial and error is key when it comes to doing this kind of painting. For me, at least, it has been, because you just make friends with making mistakes. One of the things I try to remind myself is for every bit of contrast that we experience, we gain clarity, right? Because the more I experience what I don't want, the clearer I am on what I do want, right? The more I think I'm presented with what I don't want and recognize what I don't want, I become much clearer on what I do want. And that comes into play with pretty much everything as well, right? Not just with art, but it certainly is a good one here. Oh, sorry. Fred is a donkey. I live on a farm. And we now have, oh, and I just put black on that white dot. Poop. That's okay. I'll just redo the white dot. I'll just dot over it. More 3D effect, right, Barb? Fred is one of our donkeys here on the farm. So I live on a farm with my friends. And I say we, but I just live here. They have 5 donkeys and 5 horses. And Fred is the snuggle bunny. Barb's counting, that's number 4. I can never get as small as yours. That's going to take time, and that usually means the amount of paint on the tool, Janice, but that takes time. That is not something that I got good at quickly, and I still struggle with it sometimes. So give yourself some time and practice with that. The tool that really, really helped me out before I got the micro dotter was a very sharp pencil. I found it was a great tool to work with and to practice doing really tiny dots and playing around with the amount of paint on the tool as well. So see if that's helpful at all. I'm not here for the giveaways. I'm here for Fred. Yeah, that's what you're counting on being in the giveaway. All right, so let's keep going. He's pretty special, though. He's a big snuggle bunny. Let me tell you, and there's nothing that is better for the ego than walking out into a field and having a donkey see you and then come walking right over to you like, hi, it's good to see you. There is nothing that I've experienced that feels that good. All right, so we're continuing on with the 5. It's funny because as I'm doing these ones, I'm thinking, okay, so this is good. I'm doing a 5 and I'm doing normal dots. So I kind of had this moment in my head where I'm like, what do you mean more normal dots? Think about that before you say that out loud. But it's my normal pressure, my normal speed, and my normal dip, right? So I'm starting to feel what is the comfortable muscle memory part and what is the part where I'm concentrating, saying, okay, don't dip the paint, put as much paint on the tool this time, or don't press down as hard this time, right? So finding, kind of recognizing those things helps a little bit. Been doing this a little better than a year. It totally is. Totally such a... Yes, toothpicks are great too. Toothpicks work really well also. So there's lots of different options out there, but that's where you want to practice. Okay. Yeah, toothpicks are great. I did that a lot. I use toothpicks a lot to pull paint down when I'm doing swoops. Toothpicks are great tools. I know that was still a little wet underneath, but we're gonna run with it. All right, how are we doing, guys? Everybody doing all right? Can we still see okay? Okay, so that was a 5. So now I am gonna go in with a 6, and I'm going into the pink. How are you guys making out? If you guys aren't already a member of the Facebook group, then check out the Facebook group. Is there anybody by any chance that would be able to flip and grab the link for the Facebook group and post it in the comments? If there's somebody who would be willing to do that, that would be awesome, because I can't leave the live and then post a link in here. but if you're not already a member of the Facebook group, if you want to join us, we'd love to have you. Sharon is the admin on that Facebook group. Thank you, Sharon, for all of the work that you do there. She's got challenges going. Everybody, we'd all just kind of share what we're working on, share any questions, inspiration, all of that sort of stuff. It's a pretty wonderful little community. We have almost 200 people in the Facebook group now, you guys. How crazy is that? Isn't that bananas? Sharon and Jan collaborated on a challenge for this month, so we got a challenge going on. Oops. So that little bubble happened there because I didn't clean off my tool. So sometimes you'll get little bubbles when you get up to the larger ones. Thank you, Manon. Thank you, Christy. You guys are awesome. Oh, Sharon's got it too. Elizabeth's got it. Having a micro daughter on the way. Yay, Manon, that's awesome. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. I spent the whole time playing with it going, ooh, ooh, ooh. It was fun. But yeah, so if you want to join the Facebook group, there's a bunch of links in the comments now. Thank you guys for doing that. And feel free to share your work. So if you want to share what you work on while we're on the tutorials, if you want to share anything that you're working on, it doesn't have to be a dot mandala. If you are a creative person and you're working on something that you want to share, this is the place to do it. We are here to support each other. We're here to elevate each other and encourage and inspire, right? So that's what we want to do in that group. Please make sure that if you do join the group that you take the time to agree to the rules, because if I get a request for the group and it does not say that the rules are agreed to, I will decline the request. Everybody was on it, Sharon. It was crazy. It's crazy the amount of people that jumped in to go and do that. Thank you, guys. All right, so now I'm going in with a 7 because I see a 7 is going to fit pretty good in there. Oh, I had a hair in the paint. Oh, my face cloth is dirty. I use a damp face cloth to wipe my tools off on, and every once in a while I wipe them into other colors that were already there. Let's move this down here so I get a close up again. Okay, so I'm going in with a 7. So not a ton. Can you see the paint on the end of the tool? It's hard to see because it's white. So not a ton of paint. Right about there. Looks pretty good. I'm actually going to make them a little bit bigger. Yeah, because that'll still fit in there. I'm going to make that one a little bit larger. What's everybody up to for the rest of the weekend? There we go. How are you guys making out? Is it progressing for you okay? Are you feeling comfortable with how you're moving out from the center? And keep in mind too, you can go back in and you can do top dots on this if you want to. You can do all kinds of fun stuff with it. Can't wait to see what you guys do. So much fun seeing what you guys do. Take care, Manon. Sending you lots and lots of love. I'm so glad you were able to pop by. So now we go to the teal. I'm going to go to an 8 this time. Yeah. No, I'm going to go to a 7, but just put more paint on the 7. Just to see. Yeah. The 8 would have been just that bit too big. This is perfect. Because I'm here with you tonight, making it up. As per usual, I'm listening to Jason Mraz. Maybe one of these days I'll mix it up. Once you get into the bigger spaces, it's easier to go faster too. Oops, not enough paint on that one. And I have not cleaned off my tool because I'm using a lot more paint on this one. I haven't cleaned off my tool as often because I'm adding extra paint anyway. And there we go. Please share your tutorial pieces in the Facebook group. Yes. Yeah, so I would love to see what you create. While watching you, I started the first episode of Cougar Town. Yay, Brianna. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Oh, have you guys ever seen the show Cougar Town? It's hilarious. If you have Disney Plus, I highly recommend it. It's hysterical. It's probably one of my favorite things that I watch now, right up there with Friends. Happy Endings, that's on, I think that's on Prime TV. Oh, it's so good. Friends and New Girl. If you like Friends and New Girl, you will love Cougar Town and Happy Endings. All right, so I'm in with an 8. Not a ton of paint on it, but I am going to go in and clean off my tool after every couple of dots here. I hope you like it, Brianna. It's funny. It's got Courtney Cox in it and Busy Phillips. It's just a great show. It's just such a great show. A lot of people that used to be on the show Scrubs. So if you enjoyed Scrubs, it's another similar one. They actually do an episode in a later season. I think there's 6 seasons. They do an episode in a later season where they actually make fun of that and bring Zach Braff and a bunch of other people onto the show, and it's pretty funny. I'm excited for you, Brianna. You're going to love it. Brianna is also, her and her honey are watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer for the first time. So I'm like super excited. I'm like, yay. My trailer is a cougar. Too funny since my sister and I are both Def Leopards. Oh my God, Barb. Oh, I'm so glad, Brianna. That's so good. Oh my God, Barb, you kill me. Absolutely kill me. All right, so I'm going to do 8 again, but with lots more paint. And we'll see if the 8 is big enough. Yes, it is. Well, keeping in mind that when you get towards the edge of your stone, this is where you might have to stop and let it dry for a little bit. Okay, this paint is a little thick, so I'm just going to give it a stir for a second. Bear with me. It just looked like it was picking up some gunky stuff, so let's... Oh, that's why. Look at that stringy junk in there. No wonder. Oh, these rogue hairs, let me tell you. All right, back in we go. Wipe off the tool, going back in with the pink on a size 8, large size 8. Probably not quite large enough, but it's still pretty good. Okay. There we go. So as you get towards the edge, you're going to want to let it dry so that you have somewhere to either, if you're not comfortable not resting your hand, see how I rest my pinky finger on there? I put my pinky finger down. That kind of gives me a little bit of an anchor. But we are getting close, probably one more row, and then I'm going to want to let it dry and really let the center dry. It's dry to touch, and you can go in and add in top dots and stuff after about an hour. However, to hold on to it, I have had it where I would do that, and and then I'd leave fingerprints in the center dot. So I want to make sure that I don't do anything like that on this one. So depending on the colors and everything that you're using, you might decide to go in and do some top dots. You might decide that the design itself is more than enough, or you might just be inspired to do another one. Let's see. Let me scroll back. It's my Home Alone show. That's awesome. Whoever's watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, check out the originals. Oh my god, the originals is so good. Oh, god, I love that show. Is it still on? Or is it done now? I was afraid that's a good show. Loved that show. Watch Ginny and Georgia on Netflix, cool twists and turns, coming of age, kind of mixed with quirky parenting and suspense. Watching Modern Family now on Hulu, nice. And the new season of Riverdale. I think it's more background things going on. I feel like I focus better on my art if I'm watching something. Totally. You got to have something that you're enjoying in the background, right? Like sometimes it's music, sometimes you put on TV, sometimes, you know, who cares what it is, or an audiobook or a podcast, right? Something that gets you into the place of enjoyment, right? I'm so looking forward to sitting down and listening to my podcast and doing some painting and seeing what comes to me. I think it's wonderful. I will often put on Friends in the background. I'll listen to Jason Mraz. I put on a lot of Abraham Hicks YouTube videos. I'll put Lord of the Rings on in the background. Finding something that you just really enjoy is very, very much a part of the process. I don't know how I just started it, but the show so far has 5 seasons. Feral cats is what I watch out my window while painting. Oh no. Oh my god. All right, I'm going in with a 9. A 9 with quite a bit of paint on it. There we go. Nice. We're getting close to the edge. Now here as well, when you get towards the edge of a stone, when it starts to curve, if your paint is watery, it could start to pool. Okay, so you want to make sure that you keep an eye on that so it doesn't end up pooling so badly that it drips all the way. Now, one of the things that I do, I'll show you what I do a lot of the time to help combat that while it's drying. This is where I will pick up the stone and hold it for a little bit. I'm just not going to hold it for too long, and I'm not going to hold it very tightly. If I was going to continue painting, I'd need to hold it by the center dot, kind of hold it like a hamburger. And I'd need to hold it onto it fairly tightly. That's where, again, the risk of leaving my fingerprints on it. And even these, honestly, I'm looking at it and I'm not happy with how much space there is in there. I probably could have done slightly larger dots to take up more of those spaces, but that's okay. I still like the design. So I'm going to hold this one upside down. So when you can see, let's show you here. So see here on the sides, these white dots, you've got these kind of center parts here. Where's my little pointer? So see how you've got the center blob of paint here and it's starting to kind of run down to the side and settle down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up the stone, hold it like a hamburger, and then literally just hold it upside down a little bit. That's going to pull the paint back in towards the center of the tool and keep it from dripping down the sides. Now you want to make sure that you've got enough dry space so that you can do this without smudging any of your paint. I've been there where I've done that too. I've overestimated or underestimated everything, right? All right, let me scroll back. Sharon, I'm doing my tutorial on a cutout of a hot air balloon. Oh, cool. Oh, I can't wait to see it, Sharon. Bye, Elizabeth. It was so good to see you. You stay safe as well. Sending you lots and lots of love. Oh, cool. I'll check that out. What's the podcast about, Barb? And snacks. Yes. Very, very important, Autumn. Very, very good point. Definitely have to have the good snacks. You got to have them within arm's reach. You don't want to get dehydrated, so you got to make sure you've got lots to drink and a good, comfy place to sit. I also have made a goal each time I do an art project to set a specific time to make sure I'm hydrating. Oh, that's a really good idea. If it was a dot painting, I picked every time I repainted the black, I would be 20 pounds more purely in water. That's a really, really good idea, though. Hi, Sophie. I was fast asleep. Actually, I'm still pretty much asleep. It'll take me a while to wake up. Well, I hope you have a good day. I'll send you the link to the podcast. I totally will. Thanks, Barb. That's awesome. So I'm holding this upside down, and you can see I did leave a bit of a fingerprint on the center dot. So it really is kind of time to leave this, though, and let it sit. So let's talk a little bit about color, right? Because these are two stones that are painted with the same design. Different. Only thing that's different is this one has pink instead of green, and that one has green instead of pink. And then let's go in here. So this one, tinier dots in the center, right? Can you see that? Okay. Tinier dots in the center, not quite as big a spacing as there is in this one, right? So kind of that interlocking effect. It's pretty cool though, eh? I think with the tinier one, it gives a little bit of a trippier effect, but I really, really like it. And then this one is the center dot is off center. And that has a totally different effect on the finished stone. Like, I don't know if I'm going to keep going with it or just leave it kind of scalloped along the edge like that. It looks kind of cool. But there we have it. So now I can decide once it dries, I'm going to keep going and take it around the edge, or I might decide to do a couple of walking dots and some swoops on the end and have that be the way to finish it as a bit of a border. That could look cool too. And then I just saw your link come in. Thanks, Barb. And there's lots of different ideas that you can do with this. Again, if you get the idea of a spiral, right? You could do this is super tight spacing, but just with a spiral. Same kind of idea. Only it's all about how you alternate the colors, right? You could choose to alternate the colors going all the way around, so each of these arms is a completely different color and have that radiate out and around. I think that would be really pretty too, right? There's so much potential on how you could do this. All right, I'm just going to... That would take a little bit of planning, I think, but it's totally possible. I'm just going to have a chip. Thanks, Geraldine. I hope you guys are having fun. All the talk of snacks, Autumn. Had to eat. Okay, so let's look at the other projects that we did in the last couple of weeks. So this 3-part series... We did this one. We did this natural stone. I'm still going to finish these, by the way. They're not quite finished yet. I'm going to go back in and do some top dots and some detail. Okay, so that was week 1. Week 1 was also starting with this one. And then I kind of ran with it afterwards and just got a little busy in it. But you can see how... They're all the same basic pattern, right? The only thing that's different is what do we have for spacing? How do we fill those spacing? Like putting these little dots in the green, for example. How close do we put everything in? This is the interlocking kind of again here, as opposed to bringing it out further into the surface, into the piece, because the dots are closer together, right? So here where the dots are nice and close together, these stay as fairly distinct rows. When the dots are farther apart, you can kind of do that interlocking kind of idea, right? This exact same pattern, just by alternating the colors that you do, instead of doing a full row of a solid color, will become a spiral. You can do a spiral in as many colors as you want. I've done 2-color spirals, I've done 8-color spirals, I've done 4-color spirals. It's all dependent on how it works out going around your center dot and how many dots you have in there. So that's when you're doing a spiral, it's being mindful of counting how many dots you have around there and what is that number divisible by so that you know how many different colors you can use. And then again, this interlocking, right? Picking colors, imagining if I did like this whole, imagine using the rainbow and this whole row was red, this whole row was yellow, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, pink, and just did that all the way around. That could be beautiful. You could do the rainbow colors coming in from the middle. You could do 3 colors. You could do black, white, and hot pink, for example. So many different ones. I know, I wasn't super keen on it either. I wasn't sure what I was going to think about it, but I think adding the gold made a huge difference. It's a duller kind of color to typically pick, and it really turned out well. These were ones, guys, from last week where it was just picking colors that were going to stand out nice and easily so that it was easy to see. And that's where it was there. Yeah, I do have a tutorial on a spiral. So that's last week. It's available, I think it's available on the website. Have I put up a listing? I might not have put up a listing, Geraldine. If you want this spiral one, then just let me know and I'll send you, we can go through that. Let me just see. I might not have added the link in there. I'm really, really bad with keeping this stuff up to date, you guys, because let me tell you, all of this admin stuff is such a buzzkill for me. I do have another one on Facebook already, not on Facebook, on my website right now, Geraldine, that is called Spacing and Spirals. So you'll find that on my website under all of the Paint With Me Facebook Lives. It's there as well. Anybody who is looking for any past tutorials that I have, that I've done, there's 2 different options to get access to those tutorials. One of them is you can get them individually on my website for $5 Canadian each, and I'll send you the link to access the private video. Or I have a Patreon where it's like a monthly membership, and it's $13 US a month. So I think it works out to probably $17 or $18 Canadian a month. And that gives you access to every single tutorial that I've done up until this point, from October until now. And I keep adding all of the tutorials to the Patreon membership every month as well. So it's definitely an option if you want access to all of the past tutorials that I've done here on Facebook and everything as well. Both of those links are in my bio if you want to check that out. I hope that helps. Yeah, it was one of the first ones, wasn't it, Jan? It was an early one. So yeah, that is there as well. Patreon is great. I'm glad you like it. I got so many ideas for that as well. So many things to kind of look at in the future, and all kinds of ideas floating around. But please keep me posted if there's specifics that designs and stuff that you would like to see a tutorial on, or a specific topic. Please don't hesitate to let me know. Shoot me a message on Facebook, on Instagram. I've got the next 4 or 5 already set up in Facebook, and I've got a list of a few more, but I think we're almost set until the beginning of June, pretty darn close anyway. So lots of good stuff coming up. Let me just detail for you what we've got coming up in the next couple of weeks here. Menu, Mandala Love Affair, events. Okay, so next Saturday we're going to do layouts and larger designs. So we're going to talk about how, if you see a piece that you really like and you're inspired by it, how you could kind of translate that into a design and create a layout for different elements throughout a bigger piece. So we're probably going to do a 10 by 10 or a 12 by 12 for those ones. You can work on something smaller as well, because these guidelines and everything that we're going to do is going to be translatable to any size surface. On April 24th, we're going to do basics. We're going to, I think I wrote my description for this one was pretty good. I was pretty happy with myself for this one. Where is my description? Why can't I see it? Well, it's basics, and we're going to go through, let me see here, details. I didn't add any details in there. We're going to go through everything from mixing paint, choosing surfaces, preparing surfaces, mixing colors, choosing tools, setting up a couple practice canvases, and all of your basic designs. So we're going to talk about doing uniform dots. We're going to talk about walking dots. We'll talk about swoops. We'll talk about all of that different stuff. And then May 1st is going to be making stones and resin pendants. So we are going to go through making different stones, mixing the gypsum, putting them all together, how we let them dry, how we take them out of the molds, all of that sort of stuff. And then we are also going to do some resin pouring. I'm going to show you how I make these little resin discs. And then we're going to paint one or two of them, because then I take them and I paint them, and then we're going to go through the final pouring to get the cover. So I'm going to pour more resin on top of this, which is going to create this necklace pendant, and how I glue all of that on. So that is May 1st. So we've got lots of good stuff coming. We've got a couple other ones that I'm going to get booked in there as well. But we got lots of fun stuff, and any ideas that you have for things that you'd like me to cover in tutorials, please, please, please shoot me a message. There's a post on the Facebook, group as well, to see what we can do. I'm going to try and recreate those crazy parabolic circles with dots. Oh my gosh, that is crazy. But that's going to look so cool, Barb. I can't wait to see. Please post it once you've done. Show everyone the rocks I won on the auction. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Let me grab those. So there's all kinds of good stuff coming up, you guys. And like I said, anything that you want to see, I would love to know what you want to see so I can be teaching you the stuff you want to learn. So these are the rocks that Jan won. Isn't this pretty? Look at Molly's. Isn't it gorgeous? Frig, she's so talented. Would you believe that this girl, she's a young lady of 16 maybe? So freaking talented. Thanks, Geraldine. You have a great weekend too. Sending you lots and lots of love. So we took the same size stones and basically the same colors, and we created two pieces. So you've got a beautiful set coming to you, Jan. Are you excited? Aren't they pretty? She's so freaking talented, this kid. 15. Like, bananas. Absolutely bananas. And she's one of the kindest, most respectful people you could ever imagine. So if you're not already following Mall Rocks on Instagram, go follow her. MOLROCKS. And she does live. She's just phenomenal. So this is hers, and you've got a beautiful set that's going to be coming to you, Jan. I'm so excited. That's wonderful. Do you guys have any questions that I can answer for you before we call it a day today? Is there anything that I can be answering for you? So we got lots of fun stuff coming up. Send Molly cookies. Totally have to send her some. Tell her from you. A bunch of cookies from Barb. But if you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. So the website for individual tutorials, the Patreon for the library and everything upcoming. We've got these upcoming events. I'm trying to think what else there is. I think that's about it. Oh, and when am I going to teach mugs? I will add that in, so that'll be sometime in May. I will add that in for a May tutorial. For sure. for sure. Have you gotten your results from your COVID test? No, I have not yet. I'm going to check it again after this and see if we've gotten any news, but nothing as of yet. They said 2 to 5 days, and today's day 2. I'm overly optimistic that I'm going to hear something today. And then as soon as I do, I'll be able to get your paints on your waist to you guys too. And get some orders shipped out, which would be really nice. But no, nothing yet. Nothing yet. Which sucks, because if I don't find out today, then my mom doesn't get to go see my dad tomorrow, because I'm the only one that can take her. And I'm really hoping that she still gets to go see him. But nothing I can do about it now, right? That's the hard part, is just sit and wait. Hurry up and wait. So if you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. But otherwise, I think we'll go ahead and sign off for today. Thank you for coming and hanging out. I will keep you guys posted on COVID results and all of that good stuff and how everything is going. But until then, please make sure you're doing something today just for the pure joy of it. Take care of yourselves. Look after yourselves. Be kind to yourselves. And know that I'm sending you guys tons and tons of love. Yeah, it sucks, doesn't it, Janice? It just really sucks, right? Like people can go to the mall, but my mom might not be able to go see my dad, right? And I can't take him. And it's all just so much. It's so heavy. Love you guys. Have a great rest of your weekend. And this week for TikTok lives, Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. and Friday evening at 7 p.m. I will post it on TikTok, but that's going to be the live schedule. And then, of course, next Saturday, I'll see you back here. I love you guys. Take care of yourselves. Sending you huge hugs, and we'll see you soon. Bye.